See what they put on the position 3 role, because again, Velo, he did land some pretty nice hooks, but just the impact of the Pudge just didn't seem to really be there last game. So hopefully we'll get to see a bit more of him in game number 2. But of course, that is really up to the hero that they do draft him. I do wonder what route they're going for here.
Going to be a bit of a rough time for them. I feel like their draft has definitely tightened a bit. They might be looking at something like, I believe Darkseer is still in the pool if they want to go for that. Sort of team fight gives them a lot of AoE control. Really good for the Shadow Fiend to get his damage going. That could be the pick here for Tigers. I'm not sure if they're going to go for that. On the off lane, the safe lane is definitely quite open. I'm not too sure what you'd want to pick up in your safe lane here. It's again very hard. Really good single target lockdown from Mineski. Really good AoE stun from Sven.
Going for the Doom. Not too bad of a pickup. I mean, Doom is never really useless. It's pretty much always useful, in fact, but I don't know, like, I feel like they needed some sort of initiation. Now, I realize they have the Vengeful Spirit and the Earth Spirit to get that job done, but I'm talking throughout the mid to late, they do tend to drop off a bit, and you'd rather have someone a bit bigger, a bit tankier than the Doom to just jump in and stun someone. So they do go for the Doom, which again isn't a bad choice. I didn't see any particular real reason why they needed it, but I don't know. How do you feel about this Doom pickup?
Not too great, I'll be frank with you, Mike. I don't see the most pertinent need for Doom to be in this game. I don't see them really needing that Doom coming out here, so it's a bit of a strange choice. You could possibly be able to shut down that Razor, I guess. Although I'm not sure if you really want to walk up to Razor with his support having such great lockdown. That's just going to give him a lot of free damage early on. So, really keen to see how this goes. I think they might have picked the Doom, so whoever's in that off lane will at least get farm. I mean, the Doom will always find farm because of Devour and how that's prioritized now. So that could be the reason. It does look like Tigers will close out their draft with Terrorblade. So again, something much more standard here for the side of Tigers. Terrorblade, of course, not really tapering off the meta too much. Despite all the patch changes, you do still see this hero pop in and out. And he does a lot of work. Mineski doesn't quite have the best illusion clear in the world. I guess they're going to have to be relying on Razor and Shadow Shaman to get the damage going on those illusions. Maybe the Sven, if you want to waste a stun. And if he gets enough farm to really cleave through, fine. Yeah, anyways, I think that is a pretty good choice. Mineski might have to compensate for their last pick to get something that can wave clear quite well, a bit better. I think you do want that. Maybe a bit more magic damage as well to deal with that Terrorblade early on.
I mean, I can only imagine that the Sven will probably need a Blink Dagger, close the distance on that Terrorblade, otherwise he's just going to get kited around throughout the game. See what the itemization is, though, going to be for the Sven. Of course, you still have that Razor as well, the static link on that Terrorblade, but it is still a Terrorblade after all. You can't really just stand there and hope to static link him while he's hitting you with that Metamorphosis. Mineski, luckily for them, they do have one last pick to go. Wonder what will it be. The thing is, with the cores that they've already picked up in the Razor and the Sven, we mentioned it before, John, but you can really rotate these around different lanes and different positions, so they're not really set to a certain draft yet.
Yeah, there is some flexibility here for Mineski. We have seen the Sven run in support before. We've seen it in the offlane. It does look like it is going to be an offlane Sven. Probably going to be a mid-Razor, Moons on Razor, and it's going to be a safe lane Morphling. I do like this Morphling pick in response to the Terrorblade. I think you can do a wicked amount of damage coming out. You still have the issue of not being able to clear out those illusions fast enough, so if the illusion spam does start to come out towards that late game, you might have a bit of a rough time trying to control that. Otherwise, I feel like I am going to like Mineski's draft a bit more. The Doom pickup early on does kind of make it a bit hard for Ajit without his Lincoln Sphere coming out first. But once that's up, that should buy him some time. if he opts for it. And early on, it's going to be a bit hard for Ajit in that lane. Of course, I just sense that. I feel like Tigers will apply a bit more pressure onto that safe lane. But beyond that, if Tigers can keep a good momentum and really take over the map by 20 minutes, they could really end it with a Terrorblade early on. If they don't find their footing by 20 to 30 minutes in that time, if they're not sieging high ground within those 10 minutes, I feel like we're going to see Mineski bounce back pretty hard. I mean, a lot of people don't think of Razor as a late game carry, but you have to remember what he can do with a Refresher Orb and an Aghanim's. Even just a Refresher Orb, just having dual static link, shutting down 2 of your carries like that is really strong. So I do feel like you still have a bit of a timer here as Tigers, but it's definitely a bit more, you have a bit more of a grace period where you can still get work done.
With that, we'll get into game number 2, and John, you'd be very happy with me. I did remove the draft overlay this time. So that's,
God bless you, Mike.
That's a good start. It's a very good start, of course. Keep an eye on the audio levels to make sure everything else is fine. Although, one of your favorites, John, a quick pause coming out.
God bless, yes. And the immediate resume after, of course. It's not Southeast Asia without one of these in a best of 3, Mike.
No, absolutely not. Tips coming out very quickly, KP. Paying his respect to Velo. Velo will not return the favour. It does look like he's going to go... No, he does. Good on him. I was going to say that's very un-Australian of him, John, but he does get the job done. For the moment, it does appear KP and Velo will be up against each other, although it is still very early on to tell. Meanwhile, though, bot lane, Tigers, they do smoke up. Plenty of time available on that smoke duration. They just need to find somebody. For the moment, they're not going to find anybody. Ajit already put himself in a very nice position where he can't get caught out. They'll rotate mid. They spot out Moon, but again, it's not going to be easy. He's already hugging that tier 1 tower.
30 seconds to battle.
Good game sense here from Mineski to understand that Tigers are probably going to go for some kind of quick gank attempt. Ajit going to walk past them. With that, it should just be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounties.
Yeah, neither side really going too wild on the engagement this time around. And just a free 1-to-1 exchange, unless Mineski misses out on their own top, but I don't think that's likely, so just a nice swap. It does look like Ajit is walking to that top lane. We are going to see KP playing in that safe lane. Just a bit of a lane swap here for Mineski early on.
I mean, that's fair enough though, right? Like, they don't want the Sven to be up against the Doom and Zephyr. Getting aggressive very early on into KP, and now they're going to keep going here. 1437 looking for the stun. He will find it. 458 has the Metamorphosis, but doesn't want to commit it this early on. Would rather commit it for the creep farming. And they do force KP to not only eat some regeneration items, but to also use his TP very early on.
Yeah, but I think that's worthwhile. I mean, just think about it. They just literally just lane swap there. If Ajit was still in that bot lane, he would have been very, very dead.
Yeah.
So a lot of value already from having him walk up. They just knew what to expect when they got that glimpse at that bot lane. The Venge being there. Good call from Mineski.
Maybe costly for Tigers as well. I mean, this laning stage is so darn important in Dota. See if they do opt to switch things out, but for the moment, they are going to stick around. Velo will stick around up at top lane, though his lane is going to be much harder. Like, you've got the setup from the Ninja Boogie Bane with the sleep. You're going to have the shackles from Raging Potato as well as the Hex, and Ajit, he's just going to have so much time to right-click Velo down when the time comes. It does seem like it's going to be a much harder issue for Velo than it's going to be for KP in his own offlane.
Yeah, definitely. So there's only so much you can really do as a Doom here. I think the best you can do is really just farm with Devour, which again is the strength of Doom. You can't really bully him too hard outside of lane. He will always find a source of farm. So at the very least, Velo will be able to find some item progression and some levels going on in this lane.
Well, mid lane. Of course, we saw Dendi playing that Shadow Fiend last game around. Didn't have too much of a bad laning stage, but unfortunately did not really keep up in that mid game, and Mineski was so far ahead. In fact, now they may go on to Dendi. Raging Potato is there. Shackles has been leveled up. And with that static link, it's going to be a lot of damage being stolen. Zephyr does jump in to help out. And Moon looks like he wants to disengage as well. So Zephyr coming in at just the right time to ensure Dendi survives that.
Really good rune coming out from Mineski there. Just having that, of course, in this rune. Good timing on that rotation coming out. I think just applying that much pressure is really good, as it does help Moon right-click a bit more. That's a pretty big stack of damage early on as well, plus 87, I think. So that
now
does
Velo.
help him clear out this wave.
Velo going to find himself in trouble. John, he does end up going down. Arjit, he threw out the shotgun. The adaptive strike is what I was trying to say. And he does get bursted. Velo not able to survive the damage coming out from the Morphling. Nice pickup for the side of Mineski.
Yeah, again, a pretty good start for Mineski once more. Lanes are, honestly, a bit tied, at the very least, between Oddshit and 458. They are pretty much even in terms of last hits, but the mid lane is really where the difference is coming out. Moon is dancing on top of Dandy right now. 21-9 versus 13-0. As an SF, that is not the greatest start in the world, Mike, I have to say.
Certainly isn't. Moon going to be more than happy to keep this up. I guess Shadow Fiend's another one of those heroes, right? Like, he's got this super snowballish kind of playstyle, but if you don't get that decent start on him, he does tend to drop off a bit. Can, of course, come back into the game later on, but it's just not as impactful as what he can do during that early to mid game. Moon hogging all those runes and really not allowing Dendi to go and bottle up one. He's always going to be low on mana. Realizing this, 1437 will rotate around to that mid lane, but it is a question of how much can you get done. Though Moon does take a bit of tier 1 tower damage, and now he will get stunned up surely. 1437 threw out that wave of terror a bit early on, and that gave Moon enough information to walk away, although no, he gets stunned up, and with that he should be dead. The Fairy Fire will not save him in the end. He will end up going down as Zephyr, and that's a very important pickup, especially for Dendi on this Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, that does help Dandy out a bit. He should have an easier time playing catch-up, at the very least clear out one wave to himself. And that gives him a bit more to work with. He was really struggling in this mid lane. That does recover a bit. That is a rotation from two supports, though. 1437 and Zephyr really having to go down mid to support him early on, but I guess that is the nature of Shadow Fiend. He does need a bit of help in that laning phase sometimes.
Yes, certainly so. Velo going on to Arjit, but he'll just strength morph through all that damage. Ninja Boogie to shout some harassment towards Velo. 1437 actually showing up. Magic Missile and Wave of Terror will get the job done. Of course, the Shockwave was there from Velo, and now Ninja Boogie going to be the target. He does use the Brain Sap, but it's not going to be enough. And Velo, he will set up another for 1437 on that Vengeful Spirit. A very nice play indeed from him. Just that Devour regeneration, John, keeping him alive throughout all that. As well as that as well, he had that Unholy Aura. The 5.5 HP regen per second, and well, it turns out it's quite a lot when once added up.
It definitely is, especially early on when you're not really doing too much damage anyway. So, really nice rotations from Tigers. They have been compensating for a rather shaky start, I have to say. This is when they are picking up a bit, and I feel like they should keep that momentum up.
Certainly a better start than last game. 1-3 right now their way. So you've still got these targets to be worried about. Like, you look at KP, he's still basically been farming quite well. And 458 has also been doing a fantastic job. In fact, he's second in last hits. Only second to Arjit on that Morphling. Arjit, he got that minus about a minute ago, I believe. So it's about, looking at about a 5.5 minute minus. Not bad timing whatsoever for that Morphling. That's going to be very concerning, because he's just going to be able to continue farming up so darn quickly in comparison to this Terrorblade, who's substantially slower.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a Morphling have such a good laning phase, actually.
They try to roll in on him, but just dodges the magic missile with the waveform, and now they can't really turn it around on 3 heroes, but Ajit can easily go back to free farming this lane.
Yeah, again, it's been a while since we've seen a Morphling get away with such a good laning start. I think for the most part, we're used to seeing Morphlings have to farm into a Perseverance or Morbid Mask to farm the jungle and recover from there. I don't think I can say I've seen a Morphling get a 5.5 minute Midas that often, Mike, if at all. So, really good start nonetheless for Ajit despite his 1 death. He is still really maximizing his gains from this lane.
You know, in terms of net worth, he's about 700 gold ahead of that Terrorblade at the almost the 8-minute mark. In fact, 458 now. Gonna go to the jungle and start farming up those ancient stacks. Well, I say stacks, it's just 1. Now 2. At the very least, this should try and help him out just a bit. This does mean Ajit can return to that bot lane now and farm even more safely. There's nothing they can do about this man, and his net worth continues to increase at a rapid pace.
You know, this does mildly remind me of Game 1. I mean, Tigers did have a pretty nice start. They got some pressure going around the map. It felt like a rather passive laning phase otherwise. But Mineski was finding the lane farm the entire time, and it feels almost the same way, which kind of worries me for Tigers.
Well, they do smoke up, and they drew a line down to that bot lane. Try and go after that Morphling, but they do end up walking a different way, and now they'll run into Moon, but can they break that distance? The magic missile not going to be there. They didn't have the vision, and they still can't get it either. He's already used that wave of terror. Now Dendi misses the raise. He thought he ran down south. Moon just walks away from that scot-free and will tip him as well. He did use that wave of terror just slightly early there, John.
Yeah, a bit of patience would definitely have paid off there, but, you know, sometimes you just kind of throw it a bit early. It happens, you know, it happens to the best of us, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, the fog of war can be a cruel mistress, John. Very cruel one indeed. Yellow does have that level 6 up, so he can do Ajit, and that would really help in getting this kill on the Morphling, but Ajit, seemingly knowing what's going on, he will just duke them out, essentially.
I believe they walked under a ward. They walked under that Obs ward, so Ajit did know they were coming in, unfortunately, which means that it is a failed gank attempt.
Oh, Zephyr. Not too important of a kill, but a kill nonetheless. Mineski will claim their 2nd of the game, and more importantly, they will be able to start knocking on this tier 1 tower thanks to that. Meanwhile, bot lane, they're still looking for Ajit on that Morphling, who does waveform TP now. And this will open up the bot tier 1 for the side of Tigers. There should be a fairly even trade here. Zephyr, he did return back up to that top lane to try and ensure KP can't just take it by himself. Meanwhile, bot lane is still being knocked on right now. KP in trouble. Dendi rotated over, and we'll find him with the razors. A nice pickup for Dendi. That's going to mean that they protect that tier 1 top. And meanwhile, Ajit also going down. Looks like Velo, he did end up finding the Doom. And, well, once that Doom's on him, the Morphling is pretty much a sitting duck. 458 will claim the tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, it looks like 1437 dropped mid lane. And now they're going to roll in Zephyr. He's currently alone, though. He's been put to sleep. And with that, they should be able to burst him down slowly but surely. 458 coming in on that Terrorblade. Who can he take down? He's going after Raging Potato, and the shackles will come out, but it won't matter. They will end up getting that Shadow Shaman, and now Velo, he's going to make a chase onto Moon on that Razor. Can they find this man? It's a much bigger pickup if they can.
I sense a connection between us.
But it looks like they can't actually reach. With that, they lose their tier 1 mid tower on the side of Tigers. And a couple heroes at that as well.
Yeah, I have to say, it is shaping up a bit better for Tigers now. I feel like this kind of progression is what you did want to see from them Game 1. Game 1, it just felt a bit too sporadic. This one is much more constant, and I feel like they have to keep that constant pressure up. They have to make sure Ajit does not farm as much. You know, punish that Midas pickup, make it impossible for him to use it.
Zephyr, they're going on to KP, though Dendy, he does spot out Ninja Boogie and wants to get the hell out of there. Unfortunately, though, Zephyr won't be so lucky and will end up falling eventually. They get the Nightmare off. KP making sure he blocks the way for the roller. Nice kick, and he will roll away.
Ooh.
Wasn't expecting that one to come out, though Razor will claim the kill regardless. Moon did roam his way in. Like Tigers, looks like they want to reinitiate here. 1437, Magic Missile will come in. Now the Razors as well, though the stun was there onto Velo. They will root Dendy in place, and he's forced to cancel the ultimate. They will not be able to find that Razor kill.
That would have been a very significant kill if Tigers could have taken it, but some good reactions coming out from Mineski, and they saved their core once again. Still maintaining a slight net lead of 1k. Again, a better story for Tigers this game, and I really, really like the aggression coming out. They are smoked up even right now, Mike, going down to that bot lane.
Absolutely. And with all that time and space they've made, 458 finds himself at the top of the net worth board as well. So he has slowly but surely taken over Arjit in the net worth board. Velo realizes the smoke broke. How are they going to break this distance? Looks like Arjit knew what was happening, and he does back off in time. While KP clearing a massive ancient stack for himself. But gonna have to defend that tier 1 tower. Velo, so important he gets the Doom off on the right target. Ninja Boogie gonna run straight into him, and now they'll put him to sleep immediately. Though the Shadow Shaman, Raging Potato will be okay. Fiend's Grip there onto Velo, and he couldn't. In fact, he did get the Doom off onto the Razor, and now they're gonna keep going. Zephyr's also down. It's a 2-for-0 trade for the side of Mineski. They're going for more even. 1437. Trying to run, but he's so darn slow, and they get the Rod of Atos off. And that is the 3rd kill during that team fight. KP now going to make a run because 458 TP'd him with the Metamorphosis. It does actually wear off just as he ran in anyway. But Mineski are going to be very happy with those 3 pickoffs.
Definitely quite happy. It's really rough for Tigers. I mean, I like the aggression they're pumping out, but it just feels like the execution's really not there. Now, you're not finding the initiation that you need. When they smoke up, they're just not finding the kills. I feel like they might want to use a little bit more vision in the map. They do have one nice deep board, but I feel like that's not enough.
Gendy playing around with Moon. KP.
Oh, Velo.
Well, top lane, Velo getting caught out. Nice shackles there from Raging Potato, and Arjit will just take care of him. Let's not forget as well, Arjit, he doesn't actually have any main items yet. Like, he's pretty much just invested in the Treads and Midas. He's going straight into the shotgun on that Morphling.
Yeah. He had a Perseverance linked up a while ago, into the Lincolns, I think, but it's apparently not going to happen. He's going to go for that shotgun build first, and with how good of a start he's had, I don't blame the guy for having that confidence. I'm just a bit worried if he does get caught out, there's really no saving him, but the damage he's been outputting, Mike, is insane. Every time he morphs into Terrorblade, pops that Metamorphosis, he just gets 200 damage. He goes up from 150 to 200 damage, and it's insane. His right clicks are just melts people. Even the Terrorblade just kind of melts.
Zephyr gets stunned up. Rod of Atos was there as well, and looks like Moon or KP will be able to claim themselves another kill. 458 sticking around to try and help out, but there's not really much he could do. 10-6 now, and 5k net worth lead to the side of Mineski. Well, Roshan looks to be started by Mineski. Arjit finding a very, very lucky double damage rune for himself. That's going to make it a hell of a lot faster for this Radiant side to take it. Of course, Tigers are aware that this is happening. There's just nothing they can do about it. It's like 1437 was walking in to try and scout it out. Does actually get a swap off, but the Roshan's already gone, and now they're going to try onto Moon. They can't burst him down fast enough, and now the Fiend's Grip comes out into 1437, who gets melted. Now Zephyr as well, in big trouble. A bit of lag on my end, John, but they do end up getting the Aegis at the very least. Velo, who's he looking for? He finds Ninja Boogie, and now they will chase onto KP as well, who's still being chased down. The Infernal Blade, will it do the damage? Yes, it will. He'll finally go down. And Raging Potato actually going forward, though he's got to be careful. There's a massive Terrorblade in front of him, and he is actually going to lose his own life, and that's a dieback on that Shadow Shaman. And as well as that, they're going to find a tier 1 mid-tower.
It looked like a rough initiation for Tigers there, but they do manage to get the targets they want. They force out buybacks from Mineski, which felt a bit unnecessary, and now they manage to take a tier 1. Really nice, clean team fight for Tigers. That is what you want to see out of this team. Just, getting those kinds of initiation, finding the target you want, and kind of wreaking havoc among Mineski. They seem to have been caught off guard when they lost Moon on that swap. So just from there, I think their initiation is completely thrown out of order for Mineski, which really caused issues. They just lose the Aegis that fast. At very least, Ajit didn't really die, but that Aegis was pretty important.
Certainly was. Tigers really clawing their way back into this game. So, Ethereal Blade is now available on Ajit, and that's going to cause a few problems. Every time he sees the support, or even maybe the Terror Blade, he's just going to be able to shotgun them down. Pretty much the only person that could probably feel slightly safe is Velo. But even then, I mean, it's still going to be a concern. Dendi. Thought he may have gone for that, but Ajit opts to back off. Because Velo was around with the Doom. They ping out 1437 up that top lane, but that is just a Vengeful Spirit. Not sure if it's worth all the rotations. Looks like they're just going to get back to farming for the moment.
They have lost a bit of ground here in Mineski. Terrorblade has been catching up quite nicely. 458 has gotten a lot of space to farm up, and a couple of good kills as well. They are kind of tapering off in Mineski's end. You're not seeing KP farm up as much, and you're certainly not seeing Moon farm up as much as well. So it has slowed down just a tad, which is a bit worrying, I have to say. Again, Tigers does have a lot of momentum going into that mid game, riding off the Terrorblade.
Hello. It's going to be okay. It's a nice tanky Doom. Moon. That Rod of Atos really paying off for him on this Razor. Top lane. Looks like it'll slowly be pushed in by KP on that Sven. Mineski really are in a nice position to take both tier 2 towers in that mid and top lane if they do wish. You see Velo making sure he creep skips while all that's going on in that mid lane, but nobody's going to be there to save the top lane tower. KP, in fact, Raging Potato will claim it. Tigers now. Trying to find some kind of initiation, but be careful not to get too close to that high ground of their own jungle, and they do opt to back off. Looks like both teams going to be more than happy to just keep farming up. I've got to say, it does still feel better on the side of Mineski to have that free farm available to you. Like, that Shadow Fiend eventually not going to hit as hard, but the side of Mineski, you've got a Terrorblade and you've got you've got a Morphling and you've got a Sven available.
Yeah, the scalability coming out from Mineski is a bit stronger. Again, there's a certain point in the power spikes where Tigers is going to be stronger. I think the starting about now to maybe 35 minutes is when you really see the spike in the Terrorblade's power. And then after, all things equal, even if you farm that Terrorblade up a lot, he just doesn't scale as much.
Oh, they're going to go for a gank attempt. Velo, he'll throw the Doom out immediately onto that Shadow Shaman. The roll will not connect, but Zephyr should just be dead here. Meanwhile, Moon coming in. There's the shotgun from Ajit, though he did get silenced before he could actually use it. Will get the kill regardless, and now they will go after Ninja Boogie. They find him as well. Reflection is there from 458, and Ajit copping a fair bit of damage from his own illusion, really, and with that, Tigers, a 2-for-1 trade. Looks like they're going to be more than happy to back off from that.
Definitely so. Again, this is the kind of aggression I was looking for from Tigers from game 1. And it's coming out here. They do take that tier 1 up top. Maybe start applying a little bit of pressure in that tier 2 as well. And, you know, start to get the items flowing in. Have narrowed that network lead down to less than 1k for Mineski's side. So they are playing quite well. And again, they're approaching their power spikes here. I don't think you're going to see Mineski really force the issue until you see the blink come out on KP. Beyond that, I think it's going to be much, much more passive. Oh.
458. Manta out of that route. They did want to go for that tier 2 mid tower, but they may just settle for the top. In fact, they'll just leave those Terrorblade illusions and... No, they won't even do that. They'll take them with them. Gonna hold that high ground and see if Mineski are willing to walk up. In fact, they do. The swap is there immediately onto KP. Can he man-fight this? No, he absolutely cannot. Dendi almost went down to the shotgun. Meanwhile, Raging Potato found 1437, and now the shackles are up onto Velo. Though Velo will be perfectly fine, and it looks like they've changed their mind. They're going to go for Moon instead on the side of Tigers. Zephyr wasn't able to find Moon, but they will find Ninja Boogie. So they lose KP, they lose Ninja Boogie, and I mean, Tigers, they're finding some nice trades.
Yeah, definitely. So camping that area on that top jungle is definitely really strong. I think that's one thing you always have to watch out for. This place is a death trap, Brett. When you lose a fight there, the enemy team drops a couple of wards, and you want to go up there, you're just completely blind. It's a huge disadvantage walking up there, and Mineski, they've been trading spots in that area for a while, trading blows there. I'm surprised KP made that decision to walk up there. Actually, it's such a common killing field that almost feels like, you know, if you're going to walk up there, you toss your support up to at least drop some wards, maybe drop a D ward and try to get that ward down before dying. I think that's pretty much the best you can hope for when you walk on that high ground, but instead they do lose a lot of valuable heroes in that exchange and lose the network lead. Lost their tower as well. Very costly mistake coming out from Mineski.
Again, they do seem very focused, however. Just trying to free farm up as much as they can. Suppose that's their only option. Like, they have fallen behind now. Again, in no way, shape, or form are they out of this game, however. Their late game is very, very strong indeed, but still, if Tigers can just keep playing like they are now, this game is theirs, and they could force this to a game number 3. The Tigers are trying to establish that that map control. They are in the enemy jungle, but Mineski very well aware of their position. That tier 3 bot tower has been pinged out and the lane has been pushed in, but Tigers not willing quite yet to try and force a push. Was 458, he's really starting to get out of control with that farm as well. He's got that Eye of Skadi and the Manta. Going for that Lincoln Sphere next, but about 3k ahead of that Morphling. So in a very, very nice position on that Terrorblade.
Definitely. So he's really taken over in terms of farm, and Mineski really has dialed it back down. Not getting as much value as you'd want from these pickups on the items. I don't particularly feel like the shotgun has done too much work just yet. It's going to play a big part later on, but the stacks are still... The stats from Morphling are still a bit lacking in terms of bursting anyone down, so it is mildly worrisome for Mineski. They haven't had a good fight in a while. It's been basically even, if not pretty much a loss for Mineski in these exchanges. And again, they have slowed down the farm. You're giving Terrorblade a lot of space to catch back up. He's hitting his power spike quite well. In the next 10 minutes, it's almost going to be uncontrollable, I want to say. Especially once that Lincoln's up. You know, you start having the talents pop up, Flexion cooldown coming up, Sunder cooldown coming up. It will be a bit hard to control 458 at that point.
We see a smoke coming up from Mineski. Mid lane, Dendi is there with 458. Neither of these heroes need to be, well, they don't want to be lost by the side of Tigers. Looks like Mineski, scout out the Roshan pit. Still another 50 seconds to go for that Roshan respawn. This could be a massive team fight for Mineski if they can pull it off. So, look at Tigers. They're expecting something like this to happen, and Nobody really willing to risk it. Smoke does wear out, and now they know for sure. They'll go for a smoke of their own, and now Dendi, he's baiting them out. He does get Rod of Atos, and immediately they swap him out and they roll in. Can they deal the damage, however? Moon not really copying much from this Terrorblade quite yet. KP apparently will be the target, and he will go down. They just doomed him immediately, and I mean, he had the God Strength off, but he just couldn't do anything. Especially with those right clicks coming in from the Terrorblade. I have Skadi really slowing him down. They are going to go for a tier 2 mid tower now.
Again, it's a pretty rough time for Mineski. They still don't have the initiation tools they want. They do have the blink on Shadow Shaman. I think you want the blink on KP as well. We're definitely going to be having to wait on that. And now their high ground's being sieged quite fast. It's going to be a rough time.
Metamorphosis was about to wear off, and Tigers decide better off just backing off and playing it safe. They understand they're in the driver's seat right now, and there's no real need to speed if they can avoid it. Mineski do smoke up again. They want to try and catch Tigers by surprise. Tigers get out of there immediately. Mineski, they will get the Hex off with that blink from the Shadow Shaman. But 1437, not really going to mind dying at all. Like, you use the smoke for that. Tigers really not going to care. Although they may care once that Roshan starts getting taken. And another double damage rune.
Yeah. No, that's just not fair. That's not fair. But yeah, this should be a pretty fast Rosh for Mineski. The bench going out definitely means they can't scout it out as well. They could try to fish Weird Spirit, but it's going to be a bit too late for that.
They were rotating in, but yeah. I mean, perhaps if the double damage wasn't there, they may have had a couple more seconds to, you know, try and roll in, but some nice luck coming out from Mineski.
What do you mean luck, Mike? That's all skill.
That is true. Very calculated on Mineski's part.
Absolutely, Mike. Can't dispute that. Again, that would lead down to Treecade, Way of Tigers, 28 minutes in. They still have a lot of time left, a lot of gas in the tank, I feel. Especially with how well 458 has been on this Terrorblade. We usually see the Terrorblade last until about 35, maybe 45 minutes at best, if Mineski really just can't play catch-up well. Otherwise, after that, you start to see some diminishing returns from the hero. You know, it's like his scalability just kind of stops at some point, and then you start seeing, you know, here it's like Morphling scale a bit better. Even Razor gets some new added utility with his itemization, mainly the Agnums and Pressure. Eventually turns his focus differently into more of a push and damage removal sort of hero. So you do have different ways of scaling here for Mineski. With Tigers, it's basically a timer. You know, Shadow Fiend has a bit of a timer on him. Terrorblade has a bit of a timer. It's not very tight timers, but there is a point where, you know, they just don't contribute as much compared to the heroes on Mineski.
Oh shit. Tier 1 tower taken. He'll go straight for the tier 2. He did have that Metamorphosis up, and not so much anymore, but he still deals a hell of a lot of damage. While bot lane, Velo gonna find the Doom off onto Moon. Though he will get stunned up by KP, and now the team fight gets started once again. Shackle's being cancelled off. Velo trying to make a back off now. Ninja Boogie trying to go after Zephyr. He won't be so lucky. Jit, he gets bursted from that with that Aegis. He does have another life, but the Requiem was not timed perfectly. Jit though, can he survive this? The Strength Morph may just be enough, and in fact Zephyr's still going but can't really finish the job. They will get Moon as a trade, and in fact they might find KP as well. In fact it does look like they will. A triple kill coming out for 458. It could have been ever so much better if they could have found that Morphling, but never. Oh, actually, Zephyr gonna roll in. Waveform, no mana for it, and wasn't even available anyway. They're gonna keep going. 458 wants Ninja Boogie, but has to be careful not to overextend. The illusion will get the job done, and now Raging Potato, he's gone as well. Moon cannot afford to die back right now. trying to defend the best he can, but he's got 2 heroes with no buyback available. That's 1 Rax gone. In fact, they'll find Raging Potato. That's a dieback on the Shaman. Now Moon will be the target. The roll will not connect. He had no rocks left. Moon is still making a run for it, and they don't have the damage for him. But they may be able to claim another Rax if they can make it in time. There's still 3 heroes. No buyback available. In fact, if the Razor doesn't either, the only person that has buyback available on the side of Mineski right now is the Morphling. Moon, gonna run in again. Just dishing out a bit of damage with that Plasma Field, but Velo looking for a target with that Infernal Blade. Shotgun will be there, but he gets healed up, and now the stun as well. It won't be quite enough onto Velo yet. Moon, he popped that BKB, and he wants to go for an engagement. KP, he gets the Infernal Blade being put on him. Velo makes a run for it. KP, he got the BKB off. Now they'll make the chase. A nice double stun as well. KP wants to melt them. They'll get 3. Can they get 4, 5, 8 though? He's the big target. They do waveform in. Ninja Boogie puts him to sleep, and he should be dead. Has the Sunder. He will go for it, though. There's the Fiend's Grip immediately coming out. And that is a very, very nice team fight coming up from Mineski.
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit rocky from that first engagement, but that was a successful 3-man defense, Mike. That is pretty gosh darn good coming out from Mineski. Just having that confidence that they can still take back some control. Even with just 3 heroes, holding that high ground. I feel like, you know, they're definitely on the back foot now. Mineski are falling behind the massive power spikes that Tiger's seeing. The Terrorblade is getting really hard to control. Ajit just melts to himself, basically, every time he shotguns on a Lotus Orb target. It's really risky for him right now, but I feel like if they do hold out again, ride out the wave of Terrorblade's power spike, ride out the wave of power spike of Tigers in general, they can put quite a fair bit more, especially once the items start pouring in on, I want to say, Ajit and KP.
Looking good for the moment. Full Satanic is up and ready to go on Ajit. I forgot to mention, John, that last team fight that we just saw, that was over a 5k gold swing for the side of Mineski. And that really paid a lot to them. Cost Tigers a hell of a lot more as well.
Definitely so. Again, the key thing before those fights broke out was I think Ajit just kind of lacking durability. With that Satanic, not going to be an issue. He's going to go back to building damage, actually. So he's going to have what seems to be an MP coming out soon. Should help the cost quite a fair bit.
Tigers may look to initiate. There is a smoke coming out. Trying to bait out with illusions right now from that Terrorblade. Meanwhile, top lane, Serpent Wards have been dropped onto that tier 3 tower. So Raging Potato forcing Tigers back to their base immediately. And that tier 3 is gone. That is a very nice play coming out from that Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, just a bit of a slow reaction there. Again, that's the power of Shadow Shaman. He can push an entire lane by himself and start sieging by himself. It gets worse once he gets a few talents up, and at least once he gets some items up. That Agnum's up, a Refresher up, and he can really just maybe even take a set of racks by himself if you're not careful.
Oh shit, mid lane. Get the waveform off in time. Like the side of Mineski are coming back to the base and getting ready for a defense. Of course, all ultimates are up, apart from the Serpent Ward. That's perfectly fine. Not too important for the side of Mineski in this team fight. And 458 will get started with that Metamorphosis and just completely ruins the melee racks and the range racks for that matter. And I suppose it's easy as that for the side of Tigers. Like, why even push it any further? Like, there's no need to give Mineski a way back into the game. Just take the racks and back off.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the name of the game here for Tigers. As time goes on, just push for free when Metamorphosis is up. When it's down, just kind of relax. Because you really, you're not going to be able to do much without that meta. And quite frankly, I don't think Tigers are under too much pressure despite, losing that team fight earlier. There's still 2 full set of racks ahead. They're 6k ahead in net worth. 458 is doing quite well on this Terrorblade. And I think he's got a lot of time left in the tank. Probably about 10 minutes if Mineski manages to farm up. If Mineski is kept in check for the entire time, it's going to be very hard for them to really bounce back to close gap. So, best case scenario for Mineski is to ride out the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's, if it's on a worst case scenario, it's just try to defend as best as you can. When you get that kill on Terrorblade, if ever it does happen, it's going to be a lot of gold your way. Otherwise, he's really big right now. This is peak Terrorblade now. And we don't even have the Sunder cooldown yet.
We did see Tigers trying to make a push up that bot lane, but nice place from, we saw Mineski trying to do that, but Tigers creep skipping and ensuring none of the lanes were pushed out, forcing Mineski back to defend their own base, and see if Mineski do want to try that again. It's very hard when your 2 racks is behind. Mid lane, there may be a big engagement coming. Wave of Terror to scout. Andy, near the creep wave. Mineski just holding that high ground right now. Looks like Tigers will do the exact same thing. Boogie gonna go for the sentry ward D ward and keeps going with the sentries. And they will just swap him in. They want to just burst him down, and they will. Though KP jumped in after him. It was a bit of a bait, but can they get anything out of this? That shotgun jumps straight back to the Morphling, and now KP is going to be the target. Meanwhile, Velo, he hasn't found a Doom target yet, and he will hold on to it for the moment. They will allow the BKBs to wear off on the side of Mineski, and are they going to reinitiate? 458, he has no Metamorphosis, although no, he in fact does. They are going to burst one in Arjit, and can they get KP? It looks like they should be able to. The Requiem, they're trying to chase Moon, but he has the BKB up and running. Meanwhile, it looks like Zephyr managed to take down KP while all that was happening, and I mean, that's 3 heroes dead for the side of Mineski.
No buyback on Arjit either. Only a buyback on our Sven KP. It's going to be a rough defense. If ever, at the very least, they really can't contest this Rosh. So that Roshan will go the way of Tigers. Even with that buyback, I don't think it's going to happen. They don't have everyone in the pit yet, but 458 does make his way down. And Roshan should just fall. So it should be a nice free Rosh for Tigers, and a very hard defense coming up from Mineski. Again, no buybacks. Not even close for Ajit right now. Buyback expended on KP. There is a buyback on a Razor, but if he expends his spells anyway before dying, Razor doesn't do too much, unfortunately. Without static link up, you're really not going to be making too much of a difference. So it's going to be a rough time here for Mineski. I feel like they really need to take this last defense. I want to say this is going to be the last defense. If they lose this one, it's over. I think they're going to get mega creeped, and no buybacks. If they lose even just 2 heroes, it's done. So we'll see if they can hold out here, but it's getting pretty tight. I have to say Tigers has been running much better this game so far. Just the aggression coming out from them, the confidence coming out from them has been pretty on point and relentless, really.
The only thing for the side of Tigers right now is it does appear they're going to have to wait for that Metamorphosis to be back up before they try to engage in another team fight for Arax. Of course, now you do have the Refresher Shard available on 458, so you're going to have that double meta if you wish to use it.
Oh, nice.
That is going to be a real headache to deal with.
Radiant are
Scan
scanning.
will be there from Mineski. They will scout out Zephyr. Of course, the Vengeful Spirit as well. Really just trying to keep tabs on where they're positioning themselves rather than trying to scan for a kill. Does look like that final bot Rax push will be coming very soon. Metamorphosis going to be off cooldown in about 10 seconds. 458 actually ended up giving the Aegis away to Dendi as well. Dendi will be able to respawn up during a team fight where necessary. 458 now. Go towards that tier 3 and meta's up immediately and he'll get started. And that tier 3, oh in fact Moon, he's losing a lot of health right now and he's gone. He literally just walked in, John. KP meanwhile in the backlines but couldn't find anything. They will get 458 however. He needed that Aegis and now they may lose the Velo Doom, and they will. 1437 trying to make a run though. He goes down as well, and Mineski, they're not going to stop this chase. Though all buybacks are coming out of Tigers, but they can't get there in time, I don't think. Or maybe they can. Zephyr, he will lose his own life, and now 458, he refreshes and metas up again. He will find KP. Moon, if he dies, it'll be a dieback, though they're going to go for Arjit instead. He will meta up, but 458, he is completely gone now, and Velo running away. 1437 about to die as well. The roll-in is there from Zephyr to save the day. In fact, he may find a kill off that. No, in fact, he will, but Zephyr ends up dying anyway to Arjit, and Dendi is going to lose the Aegis. John, that's 2 diebacks on the side of Tigers. Dendi, I don't know how he survives it. He will find one. That'll be the end of that. He has a buyback available on that Shadow Fiend, but my god, that was a very unfortunate turn of events for the side of Tigers.
That was a really, really rough defense coming out from Mineski. They do manage to come out on top in the end, but boy, was it pretty costly. Both teams now are, I have to say, pushed back a bit. You know, the buybacks have been expended. Really unfortunate dieback for 458. He also used a refresher shard there, so that's not going to be available anymore. And again, really unfortunate for him to get blasted like that. I did not expect him to succumb to the shotgun, but Ajit is really pumping out that damage now. It's kind of terrifying just how much he does at this point in the game. And again, that's down to Terrorblade maybe starting to taper off a bit. I wouldn't say he is yet, as we haven't seen him with a Thunder cooldown talent yet, if he's going to opt for that, but you know, it's starting to get to that point where we usually see the Terrorblade start to taper off a bit, Mike.
Yeah. They're going to try and claim 2 Raxes here on the side of Mineski. No real point buying back on Dendi, it seems. And well, of course, Raging Potato moves up top lane. Will take them out with the Serpent Wards himself. In fact, they may be able to just get Megas right now if they have enough time. They are going to try for it. 458 does respawn up. He goes in immediately. Now the Doom as well. Straight onto Moon on that Razor. Can they burst him though? Not quite. 458, he's gone again. What? He has no buyback available. It was the shotgun, John. They will end up getting Moon, but I don't know if that's quite enough. Now they jump in for more. Arjit manages to survive throughout all this, and he will turn it around. Again, finding another onto Velo, and Dendi has to be so careful. He throws out a Requiem. I'm not sure how much it's going to do for his side right now. The tips are coming out towards 458, and they found another. A triple for Arjit. In fact, making an ultra kill. God. Is he going to go for a rampage? No, he will not. He's a professional, John. He'll aim for the tier 4s, and he will get the GG call anyway.
What happened? What happened in the last 5 minutes, Mike? Tigers looked so good, and it just took one bad team fight, one bad dieback from 458, and that was it. That was it. They just couldn't stop it. So really well played from Mineski. From a dominant game 1 to something a bit more tight in game 2, and good effort from Tigers. Really, you did see that stark improvement from game 1, but in the end, Mineski does move on to take on the winners match next, I believe, and Tigers will have to move down into the losers match. So
yeah,
that is the way it is, Mike. I'm looking forward to the next few games. Should be exciting to see how Mineski fares up. And you know, I'm hoping Tigers will have a better result next time. You see the potential in the team. It's just something's lacking there, Mike. And I hope that they find it soon, because a lot of people have high hopes for them.
Well, with that, John, I mean, I agree with you on that matter, by the way. It is a matter of they're missing something. I'm sure they're going to find it eventually. It just takes a bit of time. Bit of effort, bit of elbow grease, and you'll get there. Nevertheless, John, we are going into cast the winner game, I guess, is what you got to call it. And it is going to be between Mineski and Fnatic. Fnatic managing to 2-0 EVOS. So, with that, it is MLP Dota and johnxfire. We'll be back with you in just a moment for that winners game. Won't be too long, guys.